Hey folks, I am talking to Jim Poston, who is the shop manager for the rebuilding of the 463. Jim, can you tell a little bit about your background? How long have you been with the Friends?
I've been with the Friends since 1996, so I guess that makes it 14 or 15 years.
And you started with this project with the tearing down of the locomotive over in Chama, correct?
Yes, I actually worked with the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad back in 2009. There was a team of us in the Chama shop that started the restoration of this locomotive.
And what's going to be the desired appearance of the locomotive when it's done and painted and everything?
We're looking at restoring this engine to its 1935-1940 era appearance. We wanted to say Denver and Rio Grande Western on the side, have the logo.
And one of the goals of this is a historical restoration with good mechanics as well. So the locomotive is going to run excellently when it's done.
Yes, we've been using original Baldwin standards. We've been using references from the Denver Public Library that the Rio Grande Railroad had in their possession at one time. Volunteer Mike Thode's uncle actually donated a number of the drawings to the library that we've gotten copies of for use on this restoration.
I have a question also. What is the current status of all of the parts to the locomotive?
For all the parts, everything's coming together. We've got the drivers delivered from Durango about 3 weeks ago. The front and rear wheel sets were delivered today. The tender frame is in Antonito, and the drive boxes are in St. Louis being machined.
And a question people are wondering, who's been actually helping here in Monte Vista?
People who are helping.
Like Friends members, volunteers?
Yes, we have a relatively small amount of people on the payroll. Marty Knox, the Chief Mechanical Officer, who was part of the team that restored locomotive 464 for the Huckleberry Railroad in Michigan. We hired Lucas Mays about 3 weeks ago, and he's turning out to be a real good find. Max Casillas, Jake Vigil, and Jose Rodriguez from the railroad itself have helped out with the project. And the rest, I know I'm missing somebody on the payroll.
Friends members, if they're interested, or volunteers that want to get involved, can still contact the Friends and still, get involved with this locomotive before it's finished, with the rebuild.
Yeah, depending on the needs of the projects and where we're at on the progress timeline, we can use the help, and we coordinate that with Marty and with Tim Tennant. But overall, we've probably had, I would say, 15 to 20 volunteers overall pitching at different times on the project.
And from what you mentioned a bit ago, you mentioned you're working from blueprints from the Denver Library. Everything's being done to specifications.
Correct. There are standards that the railroad used to keep their fleet of 15 K-27s operating, and we're using those standards to every degree, every chance we get.
And you're using a variety of local businesses as well. You're using Monte Vista Machine and Tool and Crane. What have they helped with?
The machine, tool, and crane shop, if you looked at the Friends website, you've seen the cranes, MVMT, on the side that help with the frame, loading, offloading, inversion, uninversion. They've done a lot of the machining that we've needed for tapered bolts, pedestal binders, and a whole slew of other items. I also have to mention Creech Logging, who's the landlord of the shop that we're using here in Monte Vista. They've been tremendous when it comes to getting big, heavy locomotive parts from as far away as Alabama.
When is the locomotive expected to return to the tracks on the Cumbres and Toltec and Antonito?
Our goal is to have the locomotive ready to pull a train on March 31st of 2012.
And I'm sure a lot of listeners are curious, when do you expect the locomotive to be fired up?
That's to be determined. It's actually too early to tell. We've got a lot of work to do with the boiler and frame connection, so that's farther down the road. Stay in touch with us, and we'll be happy to tell you when we know.
Hey Jim, thanks for your time today.